Mama Nomvula Mokonyane. Mama, good evening, and thank you so much for your time tonight. Certainly a turbulent time that the country has been going through as we watched scenes of hours and days of looting, very disturbing indeed, and also now the death toll standing at over 330. What are your reflections then tonight?
Suddenly we find ourselves in this situation whilst we are dealing with, again, an invisible enemy called coronavirus. And this sudden turn of events, amongst others, has made many of our families to lose their loved ones. And on behalf of the ANC and the ANC Women's League, would wish to convey sincere condolences to all the bereaved families, including those families whose loved ones are in hospital. What has been a revelation is that the incidents of the past week have actually revealed some of the underlying issues that the ANC itself has come to accept as the main challenges that are facing our nation: poverty, unemployment, and inequality. We're in Soweto. We visited families of those who lost their lives at Nomvula Mokonyane, majority of them being young people between the ages of 14 and 25, and one woman amongst them. We've also watched on television young girls who went into the shops, and all that they looted were packets and packets of sanitary pads. We saw a young boy going into a shop, and all that he took were underwears. We have to condemn all acts of criminality, but we also have to reflect on what made that old lady to be seen coming out with a 12.5 kilogram bag of millimel. It's a revelation that indeed our focus as a nation, that must unite us and contribute towards a non-racial, non-sexist, united South Africa, is through us working together to eradicate the scourge of poverty, of inequality, and the high levels of unemployment worse amongst young people.
When one really looks back at the messaging of really leaders of the ANC, and even at the time when you were even in cabinet, it was even termed the triple challenges of poverty, unemployment, and inequality. We've heard this in speeches over and over again, and we continue to hear this. But certainly on the ground, things are different, as you've described, that people would even go in just to take a bag of millimil sanitary towels. Are we really, as the ANC, are you surprised that things took such a turn, especially because you've been talking about these triple challenges for quite some time?
It has not just been about talking about these triple challenges. My opening remarks reflected also on this pandemic called coronavirus. It has been through government initiatives that in the midst of corona, government had tried, although not 100% effective, in reaching out to those who are most vulnerable through the allocations of the 350, and work is underway to look at the basic income grant. And of course, now with this particular situation that the country has actually faced, again, it should be a crisis whose opportunity we must not lose. We must seize an opportunity of making real what we mean by township economy, already work that has been done by government, including by individuals through their own investments in the malls that are in our townships. It also means we need to look at how we promote entrepreneurship and skilling of our own young people. And these are programs that are there. And unfortunately, reality is eradicating these triple challenges, poverty, inequality, and unemployment, will require more than just a year and/or more than just a decade, because we're dealing with the effect of what has been there over years, and we have also a reality now that the gap between the haves and the have-nots has also widened because of how our economy is structured. And it is on those bases that the ANC in its National Congress spoke about the need for socio-economic radical transformation. That radical economic transformation must be the one that changes the design of the value chain that has to do with the empowerment, with beneficiation, with the location of our industries, as well as with us not just looking at spaza shops in our townships, but look at the entire informal trade and see how best we invest on it. Because many other countries prosper through support for small to medium enterprises, family businesses, as well as the informal trade, where you find in the majority women and young people being involved in it. So it's not about us having been talking about this issue. It's about us having been able to do this kind of work, but the challenge and the responsibility to eradicate will not be something that happens overnight. You'll recall yourself that we do have Vision 2030, our national development plan that envisages a better life for those generations that will be in charge, and for generations that would have been senior citizens at that time. So it is a program that is ongoing. It is not a program that is just now has to give the offsprings because there's been this crisis. What is urgent now? We need nationhood. We need solidarity. We need to change the way that government functions. We need to make sure that in our own neighborhoods, we have our communities taking charge of their own neighborhoods, like we've seen over this weekend, over this past week, activists taking over control of their streets, protecting themselves without taking the law into their own hands, because we've had other situations where murder actually took place because people were highly armed. That is something that we need to condemn. And lastly, the thing that I want to raise is that we do need a process, not only about big infrastructure, rebuilding of the malls. People are hurting. We were there. We've been talking to them. We are in touch with comrades of the ANC in KZN around the situation in Phoenix. There's pain in our nation. We do need healing. And some of the healing has to do with the pain that our society has been living with over time. And the trigger was what happened with the incarceration of Comrade Zuma, and there then lawlessness actually erupted. What we will be calling for is that, yes, let's look at resetting and redefining our economic approach. But what is of importance for us as women, for us as activists, is that we need to heal. We need to heal our nation, because there is so much pain that our nation is faced with. In one of the houses that we visited, actually I was called by a younger child of the family who said, "Is there something that you can help me with?" And I said, "What is wrong?" He says, she says, "Ninovalo. I don't know what is supposed to happen. And we've agreed, Comrade Faith Mazibugo, our MEC in Gauteng, has made a commitment to get social workers, and we spoke also to Comrade Lindy Wezulu, because our nation is hurting. What we saw in Soweto were all the mothers who are now mourning the death of their own children. And no parent gives birth to a child expecting that she will then one day bury a child, worse under these circumstances.
I wonder then, when you talk about one of the issues that sparked this, as some of those who were out in the streets were saying that it was sparked by the incarceration of former President Jacob Zuma. I wonder, what is the position of the Women's League then in this matter?
The ANC Women's League is part of the African National Congress. It serves, it sits, it contributes in the positions that the African National Congress takes. And I am not the spokesperson. I'm a member of the ANC Women's League. I'm not the spokesperson of the Women's League. I'm the head of organizing and campaigns for the ANC. But I can say what the ANC has been saying has been a position that embraces the views of the ANC Women's League and the views of the African National Congress Youth League. What we are now focusing on as women in the ANC, led by the Women's League, is to say, and unfortunately, under any other war situation or under any violent situation, even before 1994, women and children bear the brunt of these conflicts. When men are at war with each other, and we are calling for a focus also on the psychosocial effects of what families and individuals have gone through.
I wonder then if the ANC takes part of the responsibility here, because some commentators have said that it is the ANC that is in government. The country, as you spoke about, the triple challenges were unfolding really even after democracy, and the ANC, given the divide, as they describe it, between itself and some of those on the ground, should be taking some responsibility for how things have turned. What would you say to that?
I think we can't shy away from the fact that the African National Congress is going through serious challenges. And hence, in our program for 2021, through the NEC statement that was read by Comrade President Cyril Ramaphosa, our program for this year is that of focusing on unity, on renewal, on self-correction, and of importance of ensuring that we work in a manner that must deal with some of our own internal challenges. And hence, some of the programs, processes that have been unfolding in the organization. A divided ANC is actually not the best of weapons in the hands of our people. And we definitely need, and many of us are working tirelessly to contribute towards self-correction, doing away with triumphalism in the movement, doing away with those that will be permanently aggrieved, and all of us stay focused on the tasks that are at hand, helping to serve and rebuild our country. The remnants of separate development with the houses that we went and gone into, with as we speak now, the families that have moved from Denver Hostel back to KwaZulu-Natal for the burials, living in squalor in Denver Hostel, and many other things. A boy who then felt that at least I will have underpants with this particular situation. Part of what we definitely need to bring back is solidarity, and of importance are the values of Ubuntu. And us as women to say, any child is my child. That should be our mantra now. So putting blame, it's not the time for putting blame on one another. This is the time to lend a hand. And as I've said, it was the ANC itself, through its January 8 statement, that made an announcement and an acceptance through our theme that this is the year of renewal, the year of building unity, the year of making sure that we self-correct.
As we round up our conversation, because we're out of time, very briefly, there's been criticism leveled against the security cluster and the handling of this particular crisis. You look at even the mixed messaging that, members of, in fact, the country has been subjected to. One, it's either an insurrection, it's not, there's no evidence of this. There's also reports, in fact, some of them who are saying, I've handed over a report to this particular minister, then the minister says, I didn't receive this report. And it really has been somewhat of a confusing time for a lot of South Africans on whether or not his government does it have a handle on this particular situation, which has led to some of the calls then that the security cluster should be shown the door. Do you agree?
It's unfortunate that our comrades have been speaking past each other. I think the president announced through one of the family meetings that he's chairing the NICOC structure that includes everybody, and all these comrades are senior. All these comrades, most of them, are trained in the security and intelligence space. I'm sure they will be better. These issues are things that we shouldn't be dealing with in the media. I'm looking forward to the working committee of the African National Congress, where we'll get clarity as to exactly why have we seen this unfortunate situation. And of course, it creates confusion, it creates mistrust, but for now, let's hope that government will be able to rein everybody, including those that have actually been out there speaking, because of course, what we need now are messages of hope, of a coherent approach in dealing with the matter, especially from the security cluster. But up until the African National Congress is given a report by our deployees, we'll then be able to raise our views. I have serious views about this issue, whether it's insurrection and all those issues, but I'm waiting for the ANC meeting for me to state my views.
I certainly hope that maybe you may be able to share those views after the working committee so we can know what those views. Thank you so much for your time tonight. That was